Welcome to Divine Dialogue. Today we will research the eschatological beliefs throughout history penned by the esteemed theologian Woe Easterly. This seminal work delves into the depths of ancient religious texts and traditions, uncovering the rich tapestry of ideas that have shaped humanity's understanding of the end times. Welcome, seekers of wisdom, to this journey through ancient spiritual texts. Today we will explore the eschatological teachings of the Old Testament, prophecies and beliefs about the end times that shaped the worldview of ancient Israel. There is an important relationship between Christianity and Judaism that should be studied to understand Christianity's origins. The Christian religion is deeply rooted in Jewish beliefs and the Old Testament. When Christ teaches, he bases his doctrines on Jewish teachings, developing and expanding them. The Old Testament frequently refers to the coming day of the Lord, a time of judgment and reckoning. The prophets describe cosmic signs that will precede this day: darkness, earthquakes, celestial disturbances. These vivid images served as warnings of impending divine judgment. A key aspect of Old Testament eschatology is the Advent of Jehovah as judge. The prophets foretold that God would appear to punish the wicked. This judgment was directed at evildoers within Israel and Gentile nations alike. None would escape the coming fury of the Lord. The Old Testament also contains promises of blessings for the righteous. While judgment awaits the wicked, the faithful will know joy and peace in the day of the Lord. God's presence will fill Jerusalem. This hope of redemption encouraged righteousness in ancient Israel. Beyond promises for Israel, some prophets foresaw the gathering of the Gentiles, foreign nations turning to worship the Lord. This universalist vision contrasts with passages portraying the Gentiles as enemies to be destroyed. The prophets thus express both inclusivity and hostility towards outsiders. References to the resurrection of the dead appear in Isaiah and Daniel, hints of afterlife beliefs, and the idea of a divine messianic banquet, though not prominent, emerges. This banquet symbolizes spiritual unity with God. The eschatology of ancient Israel was often tied to historical circumstances, yet contained ideas that resonated through the ages. Despite some materialistic and warlike elements, it expressed the hope of righteousness vindicated. In the Old Testament, eschatology, or the study of the end times, is a recurring theme that has inspired generations of spiritual seekers. Today we will explore some of the lesser-known elements of this fascinating topic. First, let's discuss the concept of theophanies, divine appearances in the Old Testament. There are three types of theophanies mentioned: those where God appears in human form, those where God appears in visions to the spiritual sight, and those where God appears in fire or storm. The latter type of theophany is especially relevant to our spiritual journey, as it represents the awe-inspiring and transformative nature of God's presence. The vivid descriptions of God's appearances in the Psalms and prophetic books serve as a reminder of the power and majesty of the divine. The Old Testament speaks of three types of theophanies, or appearances of God. The first kind of theophany is where God is depicted as appearing in human form. One example is in Genesis 16:13-14, where Hagar is said to have seen God. She called the name of the Lord that spoke to her, "You are a God who sees me," and said, "Have I even here looked after him who sees me?" As a result, the well was named Beer Lahai Roi. Other examples include Genesis 18, where three men, one of whom was Jehovah, appeared to Abraham as he sat at the entrance of his tent, and Genesis 32:24-32, where Jacob wrestles at Peniel, proclaiming, "I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." The second kind of theophany is where God appears in human form but in visions, meaning the manifestation is to the spiritual rather than the material sight. Examples of this include Numbers 24:4, Isaiah 6:1f, and Ezekiel 1:1f, among many others. The third type of theophany, which is the focus of this discussion, describes the deity as appearing in natural phenomena, like fire or storm. For instance, in the description of the grand theophany on Mount Sinai, Exodus 19:16-25, we read of thunders, lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount. Mount Sinai is described as being covered in smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, with the smoke ascending like that from a furnace, and the whole mountain quaking greatly. Similar accounts are found in Deuteronomy 4 and 5, where the mountains are said to have burned with fire to the heart of heaven, accompanied by darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. The Lord spoke from the midst of the fire. See also Deut 4:33-36, 5:4-33-2 in Judges 5. In Chapter 2 of the Doctrine of the Last Things, we explore the depths of the Old Testament's prophetic writings, uncovering the antecedents of gospel teachings on the concept of the last things. The prophetic literature of the Old Testament often employs phrases such as the day of the Lord, those days, and the last days, which serve as the foundation for certain eschatological beliefs and expectations. Our journey through these texts will lead us to a deeper understanding of the origins of gospel teachings on this subject. As we delve into the Old Testament's doctrine of the last things, we encounter four key elements that are essential for our study: the signs that precede the end, the arrival of Jehovah as the judge, the judgment of the wicked, and the bliss of the righteous. Our exploration begins with the signs that herald the end. In the book of Amos, we read of the day of the Lord being marked by sorrow, lamentation, and terrifying darkness. The prophet Isaiah echoes these sentiments, describing anguish and sorrow among the people and darkness engulfing the physical world. Isaiah further depicts the day of the Lord with vivid details of destruction from the Almighty. People's hands become feeble, their hearts melt with fear, and distress pervades the land. The heavens and earth tremble, the moon and sun are darkened, and the stars no longer shine. The book of Joel adds to this portrayal, announcing a day of darkness, gloom, and thick clouds. A great and strong people arise, unlike any before or after. Fires devour the land before them, the earth quakes, and the heavens tremble. Joel describes an army whose appearance is like horses and who run like horsemen. They leap like chariots on mountains and make a noise like a flame of fire. People are in anguish and faces turn pale at their presence. The Lord's voice will roar from Zion, shaking the heavens and earth. Wonders will occur in the heavens and on the earth, with blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun will turn into darkness, and the moon will turn to blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord. Throughout the Old Testament, prophets consistently describe the signs that herald the day of the Lord. These eschatological beliefs, rooted in diverse historical contexts, form a cohesive narrative that spans different eras. The exploration of these ancient texts uncovers the foundations of beliefs that have shaped humanity's understanding of the end times. In conclusion, dear spiritual seekers, the Old Testament's eschatological teachings offer profound insights into our spiritual journey. The themes of divine appearances, the gathering of the Gentiles and Israel, the resurrection of the dead, and the messianic banquet all serve as reminders of the transformative power of the divine and the eternal nature of our spiritual quest. Let us embrace these teachings as we continue on our journey towards spiritual enlightenment. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Spiritual Insights from Ancient Texts. May your spiritual journey be filled with wisdom and enlightenment. Until next time.